Alrighty. Now, let's talk about stuff. There's so much new things to talk about. Unfortunately, before I make anyone angry, the silhouette here, that was just my placeholder because I was hoping that we would get new silhouettes today. We did not. No new silhouettes, sorry. I thought this one, I posted this like 2 months ago on Reddit, so I thought everyone had seen it and it was not like a clickbait or something. But, I mean, you can take a minute to guess what it was that I did there. That was my, please give us the silhouette post image from Spectrum. I'll leave that on for a few minutes. Right, where do we start? I have so many notes in front of me. First of all, no silhouettes, which I think is sad and annoying. We got something else, but it's not quite the same. So the big news first, Galaxy next year. That is, I don't want to say surprising, but I did not really expect it. I kind of expected them to take a break after the 2 big RSI ships. They said in the beginning they wanted to do them all in a row, but I kind of thought they would take a break from RSI and do something else. But honestly, I really want the Galaxy to come out. So yeah, that's amazing. It also means that I can't do another 10 Galaxy videos. Maybe I will do one more, but we'll see. What else is on my list? Some Ironclad news. We'll talk about that last, because I obviously want to continue with the Ironclad afterwards. Ezram in chat, why this hype for the Galaxy? You mean right now because it was just announced that it comes out next year? Or are you asking in general because why everyone likes it? I think that's a tough question. I think everyone likes the Galaxy because it was kind of a bit of an all-rounder ship for small groups. And I mean, by now it feels kind of outdated already. But I still, the general idea of having something that can do a lot of different things with swapping out the small user and is RSI, because not everyone likes Strike, or I don't know, makes it very like a big Connie maybe. Schmet WT9WM. This silhouette, I said that in a second ago. This silhouette I made a month ago, just as a mock-up to like ask them kindly if we can get another silhouette video. That was my Reddit post. I thought that everyone had seen it by now and it was not like a big clickbait. This is not a real silhouette. This is just mine, and this is the ship. Because and also someone asked me if the ship was maybe the flat one from the blue silhouette video, but just wanted to show that the ship is not anything that was in that video. And also I have to say, I'm more excited for the Galaxy now than I ever was, just because how much RSI has evolved since it was announced. I mean, the Perseus the interior is crazy, and so will the Galaxy. And I think the Galaxy will improve quite a lot from its announcement. I feel like I have to say this quite a few more times. This is not an official silhouette. I made this a month ago and posted this a month ago. Oh, sorry. I pause ads. I'll pause ads. I don't want ads anymore. It was just for before. I posted this a month ago because I wanted more silhouettes. This is not an official one. This is just a shiv. We didn't get any silhouette ones. Sorry. If you wanted silhouettes, you won't get any here, I'm afraid. The modularity will have to be addressed. How will they address the modularity? What do you mean, how? It already kind of works, right? I honestly have not tried it, but isn't modularity working with the Redeemer already? With the Redeemer, what am I saying? The Tally. The Retaliator. Or please, if it doesn't work or something, let me know. But as far as I was in the know, I thought it was already kind of working, just no ships using it other than that one. People were... There was a Star Ciitizen Live. Oh, if you missed that, there will be... I have a lot of post-its in front of me with the news from the Star Ciitizen Live. We will go over them in a second. It can still be modular. Why would it... I think the next ship Misk team will work on is the Misk Odyssey. No. The next... I mean, what they said... Well, we'll get to that. They said that Misk is one of the manufacturers that will have a ship released next year, but that will be the Hull B. And if the Galaxy comes out by the end of next year, I think the Misk Odyssey will not be... Maybe they start next year or something, but I wouldn't expect the Misk Odyssey soon. There was talk early on that the modularity had problems with the Galaxy, but that might be old news at this point. I remember that there were problems, but that was mostly about the base building, I think, because they had problems with the drones coming from below instead of from the top or from the side. I don't think that modularity as a whole is problematic right now. I thought they kind of got that working. But I do kind of expect it to change a little bit for the final Galaxy. The rest still works. Did they talk about the fold-out wings for the Aurora Mark II? They did not. They talked about the Aurora Mark II. If I got that wrong, I'm not sure if I got it wrong, there will be an Aurora Gold Standard update as well as an Aurora Mark II, which is cool, but I don't think it will be the completely different shape that VMXEO built earlier. Good sir, you owe me 405-ish since your artwork on the Ironclad solidified my decision to buy the ship. Well, actually, please send me an invoice of your Ironclad, and I will forward that with all the other people that bought Ironclads or Galaxies after my videos, and then at the end of the year I will ask CIG to pay me for all these big ships I sold. I helped sell. It's probably too early for that type of speculation concerning the Galaxy design. I'm sure they will iron that out. I think so too. What did they discuss? I didn't see it. We'll go over it in a second. Did they change up the Perseus for the better? I'm not worried about the Galaxy either. It will be even greater. I didn't see... Oh, I will go over the release schedule. That I have notes for what Jared said about the release schedule. We can get over that in a second. And I have some updates that I want to visualize here in a second. First of all, I didn't know if you caught it. Jared specifically dissed my mom. They were talking about the Clipper. He said that all these leakers and stuff, they said it's ugly and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I just wrote in chat quickly, it's still ugly though. Because I thought he's not going to read any of the messages anyways. And he picked my message and he read out, Twist, it's still ugly though. And he looks into the camera and says, your mom. And yeah, that kinda... was something I didn't expect. Honestly, I wish I wrote a little more because I love the Clipper. I didn't want to... I hope that he didn't took it as hate against the Clipper because I love the ship. But while I love it, it's still ugly. That's my point. And my point was that it did not sell like hotcakes because it was not ugly, but because it has new features and this whole, it can do everything that just no other ship right now has. So I don't think it sold so great because it's the prettiest ship ever. It's a very iconic ship for sure, but I don't think it's pretty. Right, that was about me. That was me, yeah. That he specifically said, postpone your mom. And I will clip that. And I will have that on my channel for the rest of my life. We're going to talk about the changes to the hull C or B or all of them and the Ironclad in a second, and I have some graphics for that. Let's go over the list of stuff they said. Manufacturers releasing ships in 2026. And they said 10. And we can guess which ones they are. Drake, that will be the Ironclad, for sure. They didn't specifically say that it's coming out next year. With the command module in the end, they kinda specifically not talked about that it's coming next year, but honestly, from the pictures we've seen from the Ironclad, I would be surprised if that's not the Invictus ship. It looks so far along, but could be wrong. If there's another Drake ship that you think, oh, it could also be a variant for the Clipper. RSI, well, we now know that will be the Galaxy. Then they said there will be an Aegis ship. I don't think we have any info on that. An Anvil ship, also no information on that, as far as I know. A Misk ship, that will be the Hull B, that is confirmed to come next year. Another Kruger ship, which is called the Kruger. The Cougar. That would be a nice manufacturer, the Cougar. The Kruger Stingray will be the next Kruger ship. There will be another Grace. There will be another Origin. There will be another Gatak, which will be the Raylan, that is also confirmed for next year. And there will be another Greycat, which will be the, I don't know, they didn't say that, but I assume the base building, the crafting one they talked about in the video from yesterday. Not sure about Origin. Could be the 600 rework finally. I don't really expect a new ship before that, but we see. Not sure what the Stingray is. I hope something bigger from Kruger, honestly. I kind of think of something flat because it's a Stingray, but yeah. Didn't they say that the Ironclad was almost ready for flight or something? Taylor Ratcliffe 2924. I didn't hear that. And I just saw someone saying Ironclad isn't an Invictus launch week officially. Did you catch any about... am I wrong, or did they not say anything about the Ironclad that is confirming that for next year? From my notes, they just said it's coming along and we're working on the command module, but that's one of the few where they didn't drop a date. No consolidated Outland ship next year. But as usual, I would say they didn't confirm one yet. That does not mean that it's not coming out. There could be one. Could also be next, like 2027. But we know what CNOU ship will come, and that is the one that I drew earlier. Actually, let me bring that picture up because I don't want more people be angry that I clickbait them with this red silhouette that is not real. Which is not a clickbait. Or it was not supposed to be clickbait, at least. 1 second. Ship silhouettes. Images. There you go. Boom. This one. This one that I back then... So, to explain that, this is from the blue silhouette video. This is one that I drew based on that, so this is not based on anything official. This is my interpretation of the blue silhouette that is still missing, and that was just confirmed to be the CNOU Forge, which is a crafting solo ship with an additional onboard refinery and also ground extractors. That is what they just said. They did not say how it looks. They didn't show any pictures. They did not say that it's coming next year. They only said it's the CNOU Forge, crafting solo, plus refinery, plus ground extractors. Obviously, I kind of have to build that now. But apparently this is not coming next year, which... I mean, they were talking about crafting next year, and they didn't really answer. It looked like we'll see if we get there. And I think if they manage to get crafting, then this will be one of the ships to introduce it. So I'm not entirely sold that this is not coming next year, but they are not promising it, which I think is a good thing. But so what was the notes on crafting and base building? They didn't give us any dates. They did not, I think they did not talk about base building at all. Just, wait, I'm going to turn off monetization. I don't want more ads. I don't want ads. I'm sorry, I paused the ads. They didn't talk about base building, but they said refiner, sorry. They said crafting, they kind of said it could kind of be next year, could also be later. Yeah, I think that's all they said about crafting. And that, which was it? Oh yeah, they said that the CNOU Forge... I'm not sure. Beside the CNOU Forge, the other, the anvil ballista looking silhouette from last year, that was confirmed to be the anvil auxiliary, and that is, they said, similar like the clipper. It has crafting station and a bed, and I'm not sure if they said it about this one or the CNOU Forge, but they said the crafting station will be the same size as the clippers. Could be just for the anvil auxiliary, and could be the CNOU Forge has a bigger one. I didn't get that. Okay, so that's the notes about all of that, I think. I kinda having trouble with the chat is going so quickly. If you have questions specifically for me, please put a brackets questions in the front so I can pick that out. Otherwise, I will miss a lot of stuff. And the next thing we're going to talk about, we will talk about the Ironclad in a second, obviously. But before that, the hulls had some changes. And I did also already mock something up in the middle of their stream. Give me a second to adjust my screen setup here. We'll talk about the Ironclad in a second. Hull C first. This is the whole line of ships. That's the old ones. That's the holoviewer model that are basically 10 years old. What they said is that the bigger ones change their size. Not their size like dimension-wise, but SCU-wise. The Hull D gets downgraded to 6,912, not sure what it had before. And the Hull E gets downgraded to 12,000 something from, I think, 19,000. So they said it's honestly, to make it more realistic how much that is they can carry, and also to make it not incredibly tedious, because I forgot the number, but they said how many 32 SCU crates you would have to put on that thing, and I guess that would take days. So I don't think they will change in size, just like in terms of how many boxes they can hold, and I guess that's a good thing. Because they were gigantic already. They will be big enough. I don't really worry about that. Those got downgraded. Who got upgraded is the B. The B had 348 SCU before, and now it was upgraded to 512. And because they still wanted to be able to land on planets, he just said that in half a sentence they turned these spindles by 45. No, not by 45. By oh yeah, by 45 degrees. So that one I just mocked up here. So I guess this will be what the hull B will be, the new one. And I think that I already have seen a hull with a layout like that, but maybe I'm wrong, and that's just the Orion that I was thinking of. I don't honestly see how this helps landing on a surface. Not sure how that helps at all, but I don't know. Looks interesting. I kinda think it's weird if they are all different in their layout, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of thought about that. I put 8 SCU boxes here to keep it in line with what it had before, like just look-wise and size-wise. But I think this already shows you that basically I didn't change the size at all. It just got more SCU by, well, I guess the cargo grid back then was not to scale or to their metrics or whatever. So if I put the new 512 SCU, that takes exactly the amount of space it took for 348 in their old holoviewer model. So I don't expect the big ones to really shrink. I think it will just the SCU size changing, but we can try that one day. Maybe not now, because this will take a while, but I will check if that changes their the size it needs to put those boxes. Did you just say the hull E had 98,000 SCU originally? That can't be right. Oh, right. Okay, maybe. I have to double check that, but they said 12,000. That would be an incredible downgrade, but that can't be. The D? The D had 20,000 before? No, sorry, okay. No, I think the D went down from 20 to 12,000. Even though I have written it down as... We'll check that later, okay? But I don't think the E would change from 98 to 12,000. That's stupid. Maybe they mixed something up, or I mixed something up, and maybe it's 98,000 to 69,000. But no, I'll check that. Let's forget that for now. They downgraded to 6,000 and 12,000 because of... Okay, so Aiden says that I'm right with the numbers because it takes too long to load 98. Okay, and pipeline confirms the numbers that I just said. Okay, then maybe. I
1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1
I mean, I also think that 12,000 SCU is quite a lot. But Execute is here. Yeah, yeah, my mom is very heartbroken. That was... My point is, and you will like that Execute, my point was that he reads every comments but the ones that are important. Like, I said so many important things about other ships, and he picks the one thing that is completely off topic, and yeah, whatever. So actually, let's have a quick look how big 12,000 SCU would look like. Taking 32, I guess. And how that would change the look of that. So my container is to scale, and so is the ship, but that might be their old... that's the old holoviewer model that obviously could change now. So let's have a look. We have... Someone has the exact number? 12,000... something like 12,000. $12,288 makes sense. And that divided by 4 is 3,072. And that divided by 32 is 96 crates. So we need 96 crates. How do we... So that's 10. That's 20. $20. 40. 60. 80. And that's 100. So that minus 4. I'm sure there's a better configuration, but that's a lot less volume. Honestly. Oh, Grim is here too. Can me and... Oh yeah, you can join me for sure. Obviously. Let me just get these two on. I have never brought people on, so I have no idea how that works, but we'll figure it out. I guess I just call our group chat and then...
Hey, Tris.
Hey, Execute.
Grim, I don't know if... Yeah, there he is. He's sweet.
Oh,
Hey,
and
Grim.
Grim is too.
Hey.
Nice.
I was just watching. If you take the top row back...
Wait, one second. Before we start talking, if anyone could give me some feedback if you can hear the other two well too, because I have never mixed more than myself. Alright, go ahead, X.
I was just going to say, if you take that top row back off of the crates you had,
Mm-hmm.
and just add it onto the front or back, you'll be at exactly the right number you need. Because you said 4 less crates here.
But that's 8.
Yeah, so you'd be taking 10 off, and then oh no, okay, I'm wrong. You'd be at 94, not 96. My bad.
So that's 11 times 2 is 22 times 4.
Apparently, we're a little quiet.
That's 88. X is a little quiet. Let's get him up. I can't hear Grim at all myself, to be honest, unless you didn't
He's
say
not doing a
anything.
lot of talking.
There we go.
Well, I'm talking now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's on the phone. I can tell he's on the phone though. You're on holiday still, aren't you, Graham?
I am. Yeah, I'm still on holiday.
Man, I was really surprised about the silhouette shit. Like, so it looks like we might be getting a video, which should be good. I didn't really hear a confirmation. Did you guys hear a confirmation? I just kind of heard maybe.
No, he said no silhouette.
Maybe. Oh,
Oh, he
no
said-
silhouette. Okay.
He specifically said there's still 3 missing, so no point of making a new one. The only thing we are getting is a list of manufacturers that will be releasing ships in the next year. Did you catch that part?
No, I had people
Yeah,
talking.
and he went. Yeah, and he went over that at the end. They listed the manufacturers. So,
Do you want to go over that again?
You can go over it if you want, and I'll watch. I was just going to rewatch the whole thing in a bit, but I saw you streaming, and I know we've been actively talking about it, so I jumped in, and then Grim was there with me, and we were like, "Why isn't he replying to us? This rude asshole!" And then we got in contact, and it was all good. It was mainly because you
pretty much.
Yeah.
It was pretty much every manufacturer except Consolidated Outland. But we know we're getting that one medium, but it's tied to crafting. But yeah, they even said Origin. They even said Origin's getting a ship. So
I raised the volume even more. Let me know if that's okay. The CNOU one, they did not have that on the list, but they said, did you catch that part? The last silhouette that was missing that I drew as the Drake Frontier, they confirmed that to be the CNOU Forge.
Yep,
that's crafting solo.
With the crafting, fabrication, refinery, and they added the extraction.
Yep, and
so that's kind of cool.
That's cool, but that explains why it's not on the list for next year, because they said maybe we'll get crafting, but we'll see. And I guess this ship will not be there before we have crafting.
Yeah, I hope the ground extraction stuff doesn't hold ships back, because I could see, that ship still being a decent crafter even without that functionality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, if you've got the capital in the Pioneer, you'd at least want something more dedicated in a large, and maybe
but
you've got a small underneath as well. So yeah.
Well, I will say that, we've all three of us have done a lot of speculation over the last year about those silhouette ships, and obviously we've made mistakes, as we do when you're speculating, but I kind of think we were dead on with this Consolidated Outland ship, because we all said at various points it could be a crafter. It definitely could borrow heavily from the Pioneer and be the baby Pioneer. So yeah, I mean, I think that one, let's chalk that up to a win. We actually got that one right. I'll call it now.
And the new Grey Cat one, like, this is not enough to go on there at all. But we clearly could tell that it was a part of the MDT and the was it MDC? Oh god, man, these acronyms, man, bro. The new Grey Cat things, I'm just gonna call them that. Clearly a part of that same family.
Yeah, only the Anvil one that no one of us saw that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a kind of a weird mix, I think. Like,
so
what
you
the
got exactly how many cargo boxes you got there now? I'm just watching you as you're doing it. How many you got exactly? 94 now, or?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that is the configuration. All right, yeah, cool, sweet.
Yeah, but it's weird, right? This is basically space-wise not that far off from a Hull C. I know. I mean, it's 4 times the volume, so it will be a touch bigger, but still, I mean, we're kind of missing the massive ship. That's a bit sad.
Well, there's a couple things there, though. One, I think that allows them to still make bigger cargo ships in the future, but I think that they'll be configured differently than the Hull series was, and maybe they'll be configured in a way specifically that makes them much easier to load into those side cargo hangars. So imagine one where the cargo is all accessible from the port or starboard side, and all the cargo can be ejected out the left or right directly onto one of those new cargo elevators. It's almost like the whole series could do that just fine, but because of the spindles, that you would have to kind of maneuver the ship a lot and stuff. I think there's just better ship designs for that level of cargo in the future.
It's a little dangerous performance-wise to have so many exterior boxes because you have to render every single entity. Where when you put it on, say, like a Banner Merchantman, you can just cull that all out of existence. So it's a really high performance ask, and then to have a really high box count, like it was like literally like 98,000, and it's dropping down to 20,000. Like that's a lot to render on screen at once. I know they're only boxes, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of boxes. Yeah, it's crazy. And they would have had to come up with some kind of special culling tech to hide the inside ones or
I
something
think
like that.
I think it was VMX or Star Destroyer saying on one of my streams that the interior culling, it doesn't matter as much as we think because it's all instanced and that does not take nearly as much resources as we would think. But I mean, you're right, it's a lot of boxes.
It just helps though. Like anywhere you can gain performance and you don't have to render things, they will take it. Like that's why they always have things where they just don't render things that you don't see and stuff like that. I think you'd probably remember, both of you, when the 890 jump first came in and all those glass jars and shit were falling out of the ship and they had to remove them all. Do you guys remember that? And it was like you'd normally have like 40 frames per second back then, and then you'd spawn this ship and you'd have 2 frames per second because it was just had so much going on. And it was rendering all the glasses in the ship, and they're all trying to physicalize and tip over, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah,
it removes all that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, another thing to keep in mind, and this is something we say on all of our channels, and is that when you are buying ships, I mean, this isn't as much of an issue now because they're not going to have concept ships anymore. But really, when you were buying concept ships, you really have to buy them for that generalized role and not the specifics. Like especially things like performance, turrets, components, but even things such as SCU capacity. I mean, the SCU changes on the Ironclad alone are not a small amount. That's like a 25% change to the SCU capacity, across the board. And that's in the positive direction, but much like in the whole seas, it can go in a different direction too. And it's because just some of those concepts. I mean, we talked about this so many times, but when you think of ships like the Starliner, the Crucible, the Endeavor, think about the massive changes that are going to be coming to those ships. You know what I mean? So you really have to kind of buy for the general role.
Yeah.
I often quote you on that by now.
Yeah, it's so important. I'll see people, buying a ship and then melting it because they go, oh, well, it just got nerfed, 2%. And I'm just like, that's such a crazy reason to melt your ship. You know what I mean?
Agree.
So does this mean you're finally going to do the thing we talked about with working out the whole B variant or the reconcept? You're going to go through and work out how it's going to work?
No, honestly, that was not my plan at all.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know when you joined.
Well, we know what you got to do now. Now you've got to turn your attention back to the Galaxy because that's going to be the next focus. But you already got a head start on the Galaxy.
Did they say that? Did they say that's coming? Did they?
They did say it's coming. It's the next IAE ship, yeah.
Next year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I'm not looking for next year then.
And they said they were pretty confident about that. This is the Hull B that they talked about. It's the new boxes. So this is the new 96 SCU, no, 512 SCU, and the 45-degree rotation. But the video I was going to do, and it was not really... I am kind of in the background working on a video series that I have so far only shown my Patreons. It's like a behind the scenes, but I'll bring it out when it's done. I have a video... When we finish, I have a video where I've put them in real life locations. So I try to render these ones photorealistic instead of what I'm doing right now. And I wanted to just show the size of these ships. And that is a problem now because the Hull E now is obviously a lot smaller than it was before, and it's not as impressive. So the Hull C has to carry the weight.
I think Grim will agree with me. That's got to land though. So how the hell are you going to get that to land? The ship's physically got to be bigger somehow for it to land and get to reach the ground.
He specifically said that they rotated this to make it land, and I don't know how that helps, honestly, but yeah.
So the only thing I can think
Yeah.
of is they've somehow made the ship less long but more fat. Because
Mhm.
again, like I can see why they've rotated it, because now you can have landing gear come down between the cross, so to speak, towards the ground. But in doing that, that ship needs to be bigger for the landing gear to reach the ground, unless the landing gear is ridiculously long.
Or the landing gear is like in between those and the whole thing. But this does not really help loading at all, right? This makes loading even more confusing
Yeah.
if they are all angled.
Yeah, agreed. But they also did say that it was reconcepted. So if it's been reconcepted, that probably basically means the front and the back has changed. So it's not just the old design. It is they're somehow fatter but shorter. And so the ship is more chunky, so it essentially can reach the ground. That, I don't know, Grim. What would you say to that? Knowing what the
I mean,
intentions were.
yeah, I almost even wonder if if the spindles themselves may even have some sort of like landing apparatus on them to where, you know what I mean, on
True.
the bottom of the spindles, it almost acts as a landing gear. That would be very different from like the rest of the whole series, design characteristics, but doesn't mean they wouldn't do it. The only other thing I could think is if you go back to some of that original concept work for the whole series, some of them had some really long landing gears. It looked like they were
Mm.
landing on stilts. So
I
maybe
bet
they could do something like that.
Yeah, if there was a structural reinforced bar that kind of goes down to the bottom of the, like, the two kind of edges of the boxes at the end that would hit the ground if it landed right now,
Hmm.
and some kind of landing gear that folded out and made a flat platform, because it's got the flat platforms on the outside. I don't think they're a
Hmm.
thing anymore, but essentially, yeah, I could see what you're saying there. It lands on the cargo. Yeah, that's entirely possible. I didn't think of that. And it would be quite stable because it's like two flat rails essentially. You wouldn't need and then when it folds up, it just uses the other landing gear. The only downside to that is the elevator that kind of comes down would have to have two different crew floors, like one for when it's folded up and one for when it's not folded up.
Mhm.
But all doable with the tech that they have.
Or
I
they
know, I guess
make
we'll
it so you
see.
can
Yeah.
only have, they make it so you can extend the spindles individually. So you can have all the three ones, but not the bottom one, and then it lands on the floor basically, and then you can unload the rest. It doesn't make
Well, they
sense.
said they deliberately said that that's why it was being reconcepted, because they wanted it to be able to land with all its cargo and not have to compromise losing a spindle. That's
Right.
literally the whole reason it was
Yeah.
reconcepted. So,
Fair enough.
Uh,
um,
I think, yeah, I think one interesting question too, not to tangent too much, but just on the subject of the whole series, um, is that with the SCU change, does that necessarily mean a completely upscaled hull over the whole C, or is it more of a direction they're going to go where they take the whole C and just extend it? You know what I mean? Because I guess what's the whole E now? It's essentially three hull Cs in cargo capacity, I guess, or roughly that, maybe a little less.
I've got it written down
So it
here
makes
somewhere.
you
Give me
wonder.
give me
Mhm.
just
So that would
2
be,
seconds. So
yeah, so that'd be like roughly six spindles.
So the whole D is dropping from 20,736 to 6,912, and the whole E is
Hmm.
going from 98,304 to 12,288. And I'll post that in our group chat. There you go.
How do you think?
And yeah,
Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say, it kind of makes you wonder if, because they're making those changes for probably a lot of reasons, performance reason, entity count, but also gameplay. And it does make you wonder if the future gameplay, especially for cargo, and let's just think space stations for a minute, because I keep going to space stations as being like a big game loop for everybody that you're going to use
Yep.
ships like the whole D and E on. It kind of makes me wonder now, like, oh, okay, I wonder if those SCU capacities have been reduced because again, they're starting to figure out internally what's going to be required to build those things. Maybe previously one whole E load was going to essentially build it, and they don't want that. So by decreasing the cargo capacity, they're upping the logistics back and forth that has to occur to build the station. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
that's a bit of a tangent, but you get what I'm saying, just in terms of future gameplay.
You're better than me with prices and stuff. Do they have to adjust prices now? Like the
Yeah.
real life
100.
prices?
I'm not so sure on the whole D&E, right? Because they're still astronomically above, but they've already
They
said that
just
they're
won't
going to
go up.
increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already said that they're increasing the Holby, the Raelian, the
Yeah.
Argo Raft, and is there one more?
I mean, that for sure, but do they have to go down with the prices of the D&E because
No,
they just do
because
like
they're still so far out and above everything else. Like he
Yeah.
literally said that. I heard John say that on the thing. They're just so far in front of everyone. They're just rescaled to be in line with everything else because they just didn't make sense to be that big.
What is the
And
price of the E?
I think currently the E is
I'll
like
get them for you.
500 something. Yeah.
I'll get
Okay.
them.
That's okay
But
then.
while you're looking for those, the great thing about that is that because those prices were always going to go up when they went flight ready, all it means now is they won't go maybe up as much as they originally thought.
Yeah, okay.
Like I have a whole D personally. I settled on that, thinking originally that 20,000 SCU was like a good middle ground for me, but knowing that they're sort of adjusting the overall scale, it makes a lot more, like whole D being at 6,000 makes sense for me still. You know what I mean? And so yeah, go ahead, Dex.
550 for the D and 750 for the E.
Oh, 750 for the E, really?
Yeah, the E is the same price as an A2, basically, or a Polaris. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a capital, by the way, and technically the D is listed as a capital as well. They're both capitals.
Yeah, and the whole E, don't forget, is whole limited.
Right.
It is indeed.
Still, I thought I thought it was more expensive, and now being only about 3 times the SCU of the Hull C could make some people angry, I guess.
Yeah, but I think that's the important thing, though, and that's sort of why I was talking about the space station gameplay, and I'm sure this will factor into future mission work too, is that don't look at it so much as a nerf to the ship, more look at it more as a realignment to fit gameplay better. And that's the case. I look at the same, when they redid the Pioneer concept, I jumped in a channel and I remember someone saying, "Man, I'm really bummed with the reconcept because I really wanted to see this thing transform into this giant factory because the old Pioneer concept like totally unfolded and everything." And I was like, "Yeah, that sucks, but man, is it going to be a much more useful ship?" You know what I mean? So you kind of have to just reframe it in your mind as being a positive. You know what I mean? And I truly do think that was. I mean,
some people hear that negative and they just jump on the negative and don't think of the actual benefits. So one of the things I think you'd both agree with, that you and us three tend to pick things up fairly quickly, and I've just seen some people don't analyze as well or talk with other people, and it takes them I've seen people take 12 months to come around to the point that I'm at.
Honestly, I think it's okay that they changed the size. You're right. That makes sense gameplay wise, but maybe they went a little far. This is it feels like 10% of what it was before, right? We'll see if that is, because it was not. Someone in the chat just mentioned that it was not just for carrying boxes. It was also meant to carry other smaller ships, and I mean, just volume wise, this is like a fraction of what it was able to carry before.
I'm going to be just real quick. Just real quick. Carrying other ships, they still had to be broken down and put into boxes. That was the
No. They have shown complete ships on the grid of these.
And back in the day, it literally said that you had to break them down and put them into boxes. So yeah, technically you might be able to attach them to it, but back when it was very first concepted, it literally said that they have to be broken down and put into a box, but then you can take them on the plane, on the whole series. But yeah,
okay. Here's on to what you were saying, Tris. I fully agree with you. It's gonna make some people angry because in some ways it does seem like a massive nerf to the ship, but in classic CIG form, they drop what is kind of big news as a side blip of a sentence.
That's true.
And don't go into the reasonings why in depth. They just kind of say, yeah, for better gameplay, we changed this. And then they're off to questions about will turrets be able to be controlled by AI blades again? Or that they'll talk about ship features that the ship team is not even working on. So it's like, that's always been the frustrating thing with me, where the big news always falls as a side conversation that's
Mm.
never expanded upon. And so for the whole D and whole E owners, yeah, I would be a little bit irritated just because
You're
it's a
you're
big
you
piece of news, you know?
you are literally explaining why we need downvoting arrows in Spectrum. It all feeds back to
Yeah.
that, man. The stupid questions
Yeah.
stay at the top and they can't be removed. Hey, I got on there 5 hours later and I put my question on and I rallied everyone and I got it to number 1. So it's totally possible, but you got to be a content creator to pull it off. So if we get a question, and I did it, like I even said in our group chat, I've got to ask this for Trispone, and I just started
And they still
typing.
didn't really answer it.
Well,
I mean, they said no. That's an answer, technically.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. You didn't, but yeah, kind of. Yeah. So.
and
Yeah, they
and I
dodged
will
it.
say, yeah, I will say too. I mean, look, there is the only thing we can do when they make these changes, and again, I agree, it's frustrating sometimes where we don't feel like we're getting the full picture, is that,
Yeah.
and we have no other choice. We have to trust that they have a plan internally and that these changes, so for example, changes in the Raylan cargo, changes in the Ironclad cargo, changes in the whole E, we have to trust that they are looking at the bigger picture behind the scenes. They may not be, but all we can do is trust in it. Otherwise, this is not the project to follow. You know what I mean? So
I'm sure they
yeah,
have a plan.
it's
And I just think that it might be, they will talk more about it at some point, but I guess it would have been
yeah.
enough if they said we'll make the hull D or E smaller and we'll talk about it when we can show something,
Yeah.
just to calm your nerves. This is quite a bombshell as it is right now.
Yeah. See how they're in boxes
Yeah.
though? That's what I was trying
Right,
to say.
that's
They're in
true, but
boxes.
this image is 20 years old.
Yeah.
The last we've seen,
20
like
years,
that was
came...
that was
You
a
mean
joke.
10 years, but okay.
That was a joke.
Okay, I get you.
But like, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, they have shown, I remember Aurora's just stuck on Nanhaltsi. And so I guess that's the new design direction, hopefully.
Yeah, but
However,
you can stick anything you want to the cargo grid. That's why you can do it. But I think if you want to transport them and multiples of them, because as soon as you attach them to the cargo grid, you can't then attach other things to the outside of them. But if you put them in boxes like this, then you can attach them to each other. So
okay.
yeah, sorry.
Just the,
Sorry,
I mean,
I will
the
say
original
too-
point was
no.
that there now is not enough space to make something bigger than the Gladius on there. But yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I get your point.
I will say that, you know, obviously it felt like a little bit of one of those shows where certain questions were deliberately ignored. You know, specifically clear, concise updates on the Ironclad, Kraken, and Pioneer. I think for me, I'm sure you guys agree. The Kraken and Pioneer were never going to be 2026 ships. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
As I said at CitizenCon, I talked to someone who deliberately, like one-on-one, talked to the person leading the Kraken development team, and they said at CitizenCon they had only actually been working on it for about a week. So it's very, very early days for that. Pioneer,
What about the
we're
Pioneer?
2 years out from that ship anyway.
Really? Oh well, I think it sounds like it's been paused with what they kind of did with the other scenery.
Well,
that's kind of what
just
I
a
heard.
dependence. It's a dependencies issue. It's just got a whole bunch of new stuff in it, and those new things have not come online yet.
Well, if that forge is essentially a mini Pioneer, which it kind of sounds like it is now, if that's not being worked on and it's paused, you got to assume the bigger one is. It's got the same gameplay.
Yeah, you do.
Well, it's not a base builder though.
Oh, well, yeah, but it's got everything else though, right?
That's the main feature of the Pioneer.
Yes, yeah, but you know what I mean, though. Like, there's all those fabricators on the Pioneer. There's the underground extraction. Blah.
I don't think it means anything. They said that they won't release that ship without crafting. It could be ready right now. It could be ready mid next year. The only reason they're not releasing it is because of crafting. That does not necessarily mean anything about the state of the Pioneer, I think.
And I think part of the reason we don't get updates on some of this stuff, for example, is simply because even though they've probably done some more internal and external design work on those ships, showing it too early and when it's paused for other feature work, you just sort of end up in yet another 600i rework situation where you showed something, everyone's excited, but it's like nothing's progressing on it. So, but I guess since I'm on with you here, before I have to go, one thing, Trist, I was curious about to ask you. I mean, you worked a lot on the Ironclad. obviously the
I said it.
Ironclad got
Why do
a
you always steal my
yeah.
thunder? Like every time.
I
Yeah,
know.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, but you got but obviously the Ironclad got a big buff in cargo. Are you thinking, based off someone who knows the interior really well, is it something they could have squeezed into the existing thing, or is this ship grown?
I
I
had a joke
just
worked
wanted
out and
to
everything, and you just ruined the whole thing, the whole setup, and it was all gone. And it's like, oh yeah, so tell me about the Ironclad. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to check that. I have not checked it. I can tell you right now that there was always more space in the Ironclad. I'm not sure if you're on your phone right now, because I have it on screen. The hull
I can see it
plating.
on screen. Yeah.
Okay, so the plating for the crates was always only until where the roof starts, and behind that there was always space for more. And we can check now how, if that's basically just that they filled the rest out.
He said something about the ladders, though. He said when they moved the ladders off the walkways, it allowed them to put a lot more cargo in. That's what he said in the, the guy with the big beard and the bald head. I don't know his name. I've forgotten.
I assume
But
he means these
literally
ones
said-
here.
Yeah.
But I always figured that these were in the way a bit. But I mean, in mine here, they are so far in the front that maybe there were more. But I think that's what he means. Yeah, let's see. These crates obviously have to go because they are a mess.
And it sounds like you can also put more like if it held like essentially 6 Novas or whatever, or 6 Assault or whatever that was called in the Assault, does that mean now that you can probably fit another 1 or 2 in that as well? Like, I'm curious to know. Like, he just says cargo, but what does that translate to in vehicle terms?
Well,
And
the
I can't do the math on
assault
that.
was always separated differently, so I don't think that necessarily means anything.
Yeah.
Well, he mentioned that the cargo SE went up on the Assault as well. He actually said that.
Oh yeah, but he said that, but he also had the numbers wrong. He also said that the Assault had the same amount of cargo that the base one has. So do I have the numbers here? Oh yeah, he said that the Assault went up to 1440. And we can check what that means, but it's more, but it's not as much as he.
So does this mean the sad news is that we're not getting another ship silhouette video until next year because of 3 little ships?
Or maybe never again.
Yeah, no, because what I was told was Jared didn't ask for one. That's why they didn't do one, and that's why I asked, and we talked about it. And then when it came up, and I had the opportunity to answer the question, that's why I asked. I said, "Can we please get a ship silhouette video?" I really think they need to go just add the 3 that you did and give us another 7. We should have 10 every year. Give us 10. And so just give us and again, you can put the Ironclad back there. You can put the Pioneer back there. That's what you can add the Galaxy on there. That's fine, right? So still give us another 4. That's all we're asking for. It's just something new to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that is something that I can do now, which is great. But then I will be called a clickbaiter again, which is fine.
Well, I guess with the Ironclad growing in its capacity now, the funny thing is, for those people who have both or kind of eyeballing either one, the funny thing was originally kind of the big delineator was the cargo capacity of the Assault, being lower than the standard. Now it's kind of what the standard was. So I wonder how many people are going to be like, oh, you know what, 1500 was perfect, and I get all the benefits of the Assault, so I'll stick with that. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I got both, so I can just choose and go. How valuable is that fabricator? That's what's really going to break the question down. And you also do lose the safe room prison area
Tractor
on
beams.
the Ironclad and the tractor beams. The tractor beams are a big one when you got that much cargo. Can you imagine trying to unload that much cargo without a tractor beam?
Yeah. The only thing I would say is the Atlas definitely offsets that a little bit for me. But yeah, I feel what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying.
You'd dovetail really well with a golem or something like that to get stuff out. So as long as you've got one at the other end, I think you'll be fine. But yeah, the golem's almost a certainty to pick up with the Ironclad now. It'd be really helpful for loading and unloading this thing.
A quick one before we completely move on. So there were like a million questions in the chat about bigger cargo boxes. Do you think that's a possibility or not?
We did talk about that. We talked about that, didn't we? When we were talking about the what was the consult out looking one that we found in that trailer?
Oh yeah,
like
the big cargo barge.
Yeah, I can't remember the size. We were saying it was like at least 64 or 128 SCU boxes.
Yeah, the ship, I mean, just back of the napkin math, it looked like it was about 300 some odd meters long because it looked like it was like 3 times bigger than a whole sea. But, so and even with the whole lead, we had discussed larger cargo boxes before, thinking that it was almost a guarantee that you would have to have that purely based off the entity count issue.
Yeah.
But now with this adjustment in cargo, I don't know. Maybe 32 is it. I'm not sure. So
I still think it's a wise move because, as you said, it lowers that entity count. So you're still dealing with 12,288 entities, which is fucking ridiculous. Like trying to do that over a network game over the internet. Like if you can, yes, once you lock it to a cargo grid, you can technically make it like you can remove its entity count. Like I get that, but then as soon as you fire a torpedo into that ship, and the power goes out, you have 12,288 boxes of entities to deal with. That is just astronomical amount of information to pass to someone across the internet. That's just too much. But if you make the cargo boxes bigger, and they're 8 times the size, like they go to like 128 SCU or something like that, that drops that by an eighth. So you can see very quickly, like if I do the math real quickly, sorry, I'll prop in the calculator. 12,288 divided by 4. Grim, I think, yeah, I was gonna say 3,072. So it literally drops it to a much more manageable level very, very quickly. And again, I don't know about you, Tris, but does it really hurt it to have bigger boxes? Like it doesn't change the gameplay.
I think it would be fine. I don't think it would be a problem at all.
Yeah, and make it a feature of the D and the E that they're the only ones that can get that boxes, or all certain.
Yeah, I think
or not.
I think a 64 SCU container makes a lot of sense personally.
Well, I was talking about. I said 128, so I made it 4 times the size, but it's the same thing.
Kind of a 4 time larger, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I was trying to work it out what it would be. I think it was 256 actually, because again, to keep that rectangular shape, if you kind of work it out, you've kind of got to go across one, and then you got to go up one, and then you got to go down one, and then because of that, it's the same shape. So essentially, it's 8 times the size. So that would make it 256.
I was just
keep the same scale.
I was just thinking of the doubling up that they tend to do. 8, 16, 32, and then. But yeah, you're not right. They could do that. They could also just come out with a long flat box that is, a long rectangle as well. So
it's more their metrics. So I agree with you. It's not gonna hurt to do 64, 128, 256 because they will all fit to the metrics that we currently have. Because essentially, what a 32 SU container is to a 16, right? If you're doing that, it would just be that'd be what a 128 is to a 256.
Yeah,
it's just half the size. So I absolutely agree.
So Tris, you have this image up right here that you're showing, and this goes back to something I was saying with the current. Now you could do this obviously with the Ironclad by just rotating the Ironclad 90 degrees, but with the cargo, the big freight elevators they're now doing, I could see a ship where imagine you're seeing what you have here with the Ironclad, but imagine out the port and starboard side, the entire side of the ship opens up. You know what I mean? And then the cargo literally moves right out onto the hangars. I see more cargo ships like that in the future, to be honest with you, than the whole series. I feel like the whole series is just a kind of an antiquated design that they're just not probably going to explore anymore.
All right, but now I have something interesting for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So this is the old layout. This is 1536 SEU. The new layout does not really line up. If I go to 17 rows, 15, 16. So first of all, it goes way beyond what we... So this basically goes into the full area already. So this means this thing has to go bigger. Or they have to... Oh! Okay. What I was just saying is this here is 2,176, so that does not really match. So maybe they go higher. That would be actually good news for the vulture too.
Well, it's in line with the caterpillar. The caterpillars go right to the roof. So I was like, as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, it's height. It was obvious to me.
Gotcha.
32 times 6 times 192. Uh, 204 by 19. So that's 11. Oh, okay. So then, okay, it's the same as before, just one more.
Higher. Yep, I figured it would be something like that.
That's quite easy. No, actually, that's not completely true. It's a little less than that.
Well, they said it was because they had to take the ladders out. There were multiple ladders all the way along. That was why he said it got bigger. Because once they removed the ladders, you didn't need the space. So that explains why they can go higher.
Yeah, but still, the numbers don't.
I'm only going by what he said, bro.
So
well, and the ship could definitely get taller and not affect its pad size at all. At 126-ish, whatever meters it is, it's clearly a large ship. It gets much longer than that, and it's going to start creeping into like capital hangar territory. And it's clearly meant to be a large ship, so I could see them going higher.
Can you unhide the awning of the command deck? Because
what? Sorry, I don't know that word.
You know the command deck, like the bridge.
It's already. Oh, you want to see it?
Yeah, I want to see it because, like, does it go over that now? Does it clip with it anyway? That's
no, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, this still doesn't. This is 2,300. So this is now about 100 SCU too many. Which is a bit weird. That's a weird. It's just a weird number.
So maybe you just take the two boxes that run into the rail that comes out underneath the command deck. So if you turn that rail back on, that's under the the bridge. There's that rail roof thing that you hid before. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, this year.
It's like kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Do you know how would you explain it, Grim? You know the little roof thing that's underneath the command deck.
It's like a secondary retractable roof. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
It's like a little.
I'm not sure.
It's under the bridge. There's a little bridge thing. There's a little that thing in there. Yeah, that. Yeah. See, take the first two boxes out, and I think you get closer back to where you were. So those two boxes that would almost collide with that, if they were to disappear.
Yeah, these two boxes. That's a bit weird.
I know, but you tell me anything else that works.
How much SCU is that right there?
2,304.
So how many boxes you got to lose? 3, you said.
I didn't know. I don't know. It's I need exactly 100 SCU less, which is a bit hard to achieve with.
Well, that'd be 3 boxes because they're 32 SCU boxes. So you got to.
It's 96. It's 3 boxes and then another small box somewhere. Where would you take them?
Oh, so maybe they. Yeah, just a small area for.
Well, maybe it's something weird. Like there's a bit of SCU grid now in the secure storage now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they calculated that.
Or in the fabrication room or something like that. Yeah, I'd agree. But you still got to take 2 boxes out of here minimum to get to that.
Yeah, for sure. But I also would not be surprised if it just gets a touch longer or something. But 3 in height is definitely helpful for the vulture other ships.
Well, the good news is you don't have to do a massive rework. That was what I was worried about when I heard that today.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally said in our chat, poor fucking bastard Tris. I was like, oh my god, all that work.
I did too. Yeah. I will say too that I know they said the big ship for IAE is the Galaxy. The big thing for me next year is this ship, and the great thing is, based off all the hints, it seems like we only have 6 months to wait, which is pretty exciting. And I would hope over the next 6 months they pull back a little bit of the curtain on this. The only other thing I personally wish they would add to this ship, and this is not cargo related, and I was really split on this at first, but I actually do wish they would add the ability to pilot the ship from the command deck if you wanted to, but
Mhm.
even without maybe all
I
the
thought they
bells and
s-
whistles, sort of like that
I,
extra pilot
I,
station on the Carrack.
I thought they said you could, but only when the command module's not attached.
No, they
I
said
didn't
the
think
Q&A
so.
said it's not possible at all, and that was the latest information that we have.
Okay.
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 All right.
I
So
hope that's
really,
a
it's just
change.
so really it's
We'll
just a
see.
room to control the tractor beams and the door then.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
roof. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look, I don't know about you two. I think you kind of alluded to it, Graham. I think this and the assault are going to be way more look forward to or welcomed or sold than the Galaxy, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
We-
I think they're gonna have a big footprint.
Gameplay wise, for sure, but the
A lot of people
Galaxy
like
has
that
a lot
gun.
of fans. They just love it. And honestly,
It
for the
does, yeah,
Galaxy,
it
I
does.
kind of see a little bit of more rework because that's so old by now. I think it will need to get more SEUs, a bigger hangar maybe, or at least more SEUs in the hangar. I think this will change a bit to make it competitive to this one.
The Galaxy has a couple of other issues too, in my opinion. And these aren't really issues because sometimes people just buy ships because they look cool and they like them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do that too. But the Galaxy does have to contend with the fact that, yes, it's got a medical module, but there's other pretty darn good medical ships in the game with the same
Yep.
throughput for a lot cheaper, namely the Apollo. It's got the
Well-
cargo module, but there's going to be ships that do more cargo at cheaper.
Yep.
So then it really kind of comes down to the refinery module or just the flexibility of having modules.
Well, I think it's more than that because the medical module, as an example, does everything the Apollo does, and you don't have to take the modules out or swap them over. But it also allows you to put a C8R in the back and an Ursa in the lift, right? So you can literally arrive with that thing and turn up and cover every medical situation. But it's in a ship that also has to fly all those modules around, so you get all that extra crew to accommodate for, so your costs go up, right? And that's what happens with modular ships. They make compromises. The manufacturing module, now we don't know if that's going to stay become a fabricator, or is it actually going to do base building? And if it's been moved forward, and that might be why the Pioneer is frozen, so to speak, because they want to work on the Galaxy and turn it into the base builder, or they technically sold it as a manufacturing on the website. Do they pivot that to building ships instead?
We don't know anything about these modules. Just want to add that the Galaxy is not as good in medical as the Apollo. Just you said it can do the same, but the Apollo can do more. It has more beds.
Sorry, say that again.
Let me ask.
So say that again about the bed. Sorry.
The Apollo has more beds than the Galaxy. The Galaxy has one of each, it can have all at the same time, but the Apollo can have more bigger high-tier beds, or it can have more smaller beds than the Galaxy. The Galaxy is, I guess that summarizes it. It's more customizable, and also the Galaxy has a bit of everything, but it's not the one with the most beds, and it's not the one with the most big beds. I think that
it actually does. It does have everything. That was my whole point. Because
but just a bit of everything.
And you can put it. Yeah, but you can turn up to any situation and it's got it covered. Do you need a tier 1, 2, or 3 bed? Got them. Do you need a vehicle to go in and get it? Yeah, got it. Do you need a ship to go in and get them? Got it. It's got all of it. That's my whole point. It does everything, but it doesn't do any of it perfectly. And as soon as you go one beyond that, it's shit. Like, because if you need a second tier 1 medical bed, you're screwed.
Right.
You don't have one.
Let me ask you guys one more question related to the Ironclad. Going back to that, since that's what real quick is that, do you think, because of this random cargo change, which I think we can all three agree is a pretty substantial cargo change, it's 25% across the board or whatever, but because of that, do you think that change was made because of information we don't have, specifically in that there could be another Ironclad variant that they're accounting for with hull changes, and they just haven't talked about it yet?
Oh.
Because it does seem a little random to go from 1,500 to now 2,000 SCU of cargo. And then that affects the Ironclad Assault as well. So it's not just we wanted to make the Ironclad base, the cargo version, even more cargo capable. Because now they both got added cargo. So to me, it does make me wonder if they're accounting for something. Because the Ironclad's a new concept. It was made to metric.
Yeah.
So,
okay, my best guess is the most obvious thing is that the hangar was not high enough for a Vulture, and a lot of people like that idea. So I think maybe a refinery, a version with a bit of refining and space for a Vulture on board, that would make a lot of sense, just roll-wise or Drake-wise, right?
Yeah, it would.
They said they moved the ladders. I kind of asked, why did they move the ladders? Was there a reason to move the ladders? Did they just find there was too many ladders? It could go either way. It could be a coincidence, and they've just improved it. It could literally be like what you're saying. But I'll also put this out there: the Galaxy's got refineries. It's the same size. They're not going to do a double up, as an example. The whole problem that came out when I asked that question in regards to the Galaxy's module, it created a conundrum to them, because it's literally going to be the first ship that's a double up. If that ship does crafting, as in base building, it literally is exactly the same size as the Starfarer build, and they now have two ships that do the same thing. And guess what? Here's the irony. Because the Galaxy is modular, it'll never be as good as a variant. So you've literally got a ship that can now have a module that does base building, but it won't be as good as the build anyway.
Right.
I don't know.
I do have to run, but it's been great talking to you guys. I will let you all continue on the conversation. Have a great holiday for those that are celebrating. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Grim. Thank you for joining.
Shortly.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm going to head up shortly too. See you, bud. Really quickly, when we talked to Ben and John, they literally alliterated that a niche ship that does a bespoke thing is more important than a variant, and then a variant is better than a modular ship. And they'll never be able to do the job better than the one above it, so to speak. So they literally stated that.
Makes sense.
So again, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So you can get a drop ship, multiple drop, like the Redeemer that's got the modules and stuff will never be as good as a dedicated drop ship, that type of thing. So this will be the first example where you'll get your Galaxy module, and then I guess and say it does base building, then they're going to complain, because they'll go, well, why isn't it as powerful as a build? And they'll go, oh, because it's a modular.
Yeah,
but
but
get the versatility without a detraction.
I think that is too far away to really. We don't really know how that system is going to work. Let's stick with refining. If it has about the same size as the Ironclad, I think just having the Vulture in it makes it a good step up, because this one will only have the small, what are the new ones? So I guess people would still like to have both.
If it's a variant of the Ironclad, like he suggested, right? The variant will be better than the Galaxy's modular variant.
Right.
The same thing. So you're actually taking things away from the Galaxy and giving it to an Ironclad variant. So
no, I wouldn't say taking away. I think at that point it's two different price points, and the Galaxy in general is for people who want to have the option to do everything. Like from one day they do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and the Ironclad will then be for people who want to be more on that style forever.
Yeah, but you missed what I said. Ben and John literally said niche ships are stronger than variants. Modular ships are weaker than variants. So there's a tier system of 1, 2, 3. So if this is a modular ship, which the Galaxy is, and clearly there are variants in the Ironclad, the Ironclad being a variant version would be stronger and better than the modular variant of the refinery in the Galaxy. So you'd be taking another thing away from the Galaxy, making the Galaxy a worse ship than
no,
that. So
that's my point. Of course, I think the Galaxy will be worse in every aspect than every other ship, but it is the only ship that can fit like 4 different roles. You can play all those different roles. Today you're going to play refinery. Next day you're going to play medical. Of course, you will never be as good as a dedicated refinery. That's the point of the Galaxy is for people to not have so many different ships, but to swap swap
Yeah.
out their
And that
their
will-
ship they like.
There's two things there. The time to swap the modules over will be a thing, and also there are other ships that are just like the Endeavour. The Endeavour is insane when it comes to modularity, right? And the Caterpillar. So there is another ship that actually competes with this that's of a similar size. It's a little bit smaller, which is the Caterpillar, and there's one that's much bigger, like the Endeavour. But again, the Caterpillar will probably focus on different modules that'll probably go a lot more towards industry.
Mhm.
So it'll, probably have salvage, because Drake do a lot of salvage, and some other, but they literally talked about 11 different modules for the Caterpillar back in the day, and you can clearly see the Ironclad is borrowing a lot from the Caterpillar's design. It's essentially just a fatter Ironclad Caterpillar, like
Yeah, sure.
twice the width. Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
here, good comment. Good comment from Littlefoot. Galaxy will be classed the same as the Clipper class. Maybe not the same class, but I think it falls into something similar, just bigger. You will play a lot of different things, but you will not master
Jack of all
anything
trades.
perfectly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Jack of all trades. I agree. I'm gonna have to run. Thank you for having me. I always love debating with you and Grim. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
think we were fighting. If anyone that was listening, it's just
No, we
heated
don't fight.
debate. We are always having heated debate because we just want to get to the truth. I'll see you soon, Tris. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
and I'll
joining
talk
me.
soon, buddy. Likewise, mate. Bye bye.
See you around. Oh, it's so quiet now. Right. Okay, I never had people on. That's the first. That's cool. Yeah, we don't fight. Of course, X is a little bit more enthusiastic than me, so that's fine. But I think both of them bring valid points from time to time that I miss. And then also I just read it in the chat that all of us three don't know what we're talking about, so then it's better to have three people that don't know what they're talking about, so we have a look at like a middle ground. Righty. Did they talk about CAD modularity? Not at all. We have background. You don't get the background music? I have background music on all the time. Is it too low? I can up that a bit. But I have the same music on that I have always on. Let me know if it's too loud now, but it's there. Guardian, I read your comment earlier, but I can't multitask good enough. Inside Star Citizen Design Brief, Cargo Career Part 1. Oh, it's about the Aurora. Let me check, let me bring up that video. I hear music now. Is it too loud for you, or is it good? Yes, let me bring that on screen. Okay, image. There we go. So this is what I said earlier. There was this image shown with the ships on the outside. And I think now that the hull, what was it? The hull E is so significantly smaller in footprint. I'm kind of curious if that changed. I mean, it was always... The Gladius was the biggest one that I've ever seen on the outside of one of these, but still, I get that they had to reduce those crazy SCU sizes, but I kind of missed that big cargo ship. I mean, let me bring that up once again. For anyone that didn't catch it earlier. This is now basically the volume of cargo that a hull E will carry on one of its spindles. So imagine this block here times 4. that is the new volume or the new size of the Hull E. And it's just tiny compared to, this is a Hull C. I'm not sure if that is to game metrics, honestly. This is the holoviewer model of the Hull C. But still, you can see that it's not that much more. I'm going to dig a bit deeper into that because for any one of you who is member of Patreon or YouTube memberships, maybe you remember that I did that video once where I wanted to make a video for IE about Hull C ships in a real environment. Obviously, I didn't finish that because the Ironclad took so much time, but I still wanted to continue on that. Actually, tomorrow. But now I kind of have to reconcept that whole thing because one of the shots had the giant Hull E in there, and well, that's a lot of. I mean, no, actually, probably I should finish the video as it is and then add more shots with the design changes, just so that we can compare how big it was and how big it is now. But yeah, my point is, for that I will have to take a deeper look into how big that ship hull would be then. Compared to the real Miss Hull C in-game model and not this holoviewer model. Yeah, I'm saying the holoviewer model is the old one, but I don't think that the size changes are massive. I mean, let's just bring the actual Hull C in the game model. If I find it. Miss Hull C. I guess it's this one. Nope, that's not the whole thing. Oh no, what happened? Oh, okay. As you can see, this still had the holoviewer model in there. So this is the in-game model, this is the holoviewer model. This should be animated, so if I go to the last frame, it should be open. Okay, and the size does not change at all from holoviewer to in-game. So while the art changes and it gets prettier and stuff, the size is exactly the same, so that's still accurate. The boxes are a bit different, but that does not change the size. Actually, this is pretty ugly. I'm going to show you the real scene. Up. Miss Hull C. There we go. It's missing one spindle because I still have to mirror that. But that's your model, which is animated. Spoiler for the next part of that making of, I have already animated the whole thing and that took forever. The rigging of all these little moving parts that yeah. That was fun. Do we know an accurate Hull E cargo now? It's 12,288 SCU. And I read the question earlier on chat and I missed that, how I reacted, what I thought about Jared's comment about me. I mean, I took it as a joke, so it's fine and all. I just hope that he is not. I hope that I don't think he thinks about me at all, but I hope he did not really took it as a hater comment on the Clipper, because I like the Clipper. I just think it's ugly, and that makes it very iconic. I think it's one of the best and iconic ships they have brought out in a long time. It still has an ugly nose, and my point was, he said it sold like crazy, and I don't think it sold like crazy because it's so pretty, but because it's so special and so new, and so it has so many features. It has a great role, but I love that ship. I just don't want it to be. It sounded like I'm the new hater in town. He usually only talks about Salty Mike like that, and I didn't like that. I don't mind the insult at all. I just don't want to be considered a Clipper hater, because the Clipper is great. Also, I noticed while animating this that there are some pieces of geometry in the Hull C that are so terrible. Oh, I have already replaced them. There are some pieces of geometry in here that are so low in detail that I had to build them myself because they were too ugly. Right. Just how do you stay sane trying to learn Blender? I've tried and it drove me mad. Really? Honestly, I think Blender is pretty intuitive compared to other 3D softwares. So I have worked with 3D softwares 10 years before. I generally know what everything is doing. I know what I'm looking for, so I didn't learn Blender from scratch. But I think Blender is very well documented, so it's the easiest option to learn. If you have, I have had to learn other software that has no. Blender has a very big YouTube community that explains everything to you. Other professional softwares don't have that, so if you're getting used to learning stuff from just PDFs, then learning Blender is a breeze afterwards. That said, if you have no knowledge about 3D or anything like that, obviously there's so much going on. Sure, if this is your first software that you're learning, then I get why that's intimidating and why it takes a lot of time. It's just that I have a lot of other experience in similar software that makes it a bit easier for me to learn. And I promised that at some point I'm going to make some spaceship building tutorials maybe around Christmas or next year or something, to help people build their own starships and at least give the basics. Insane Hex says tutorials exist for other 3D software. It's true, but there is a limit. If you go to the very, very top, there are no tutorials. I have worked in some of the biggest film productions there are, and you get to a point where there are no tutorials for what you need, because other people don't have had those problems, and you just have to figure it out yourself. There is always a limit for what you can find on the internet if you go really deep with these kind of softwares. Blender is the amount of help you can get for Blender is incredible. Like back in the days, it was much harder learning all that stuff, and yeah. Right. Helldiver 2 fan movie tomorrow. I have never played Helldiver 2, but I listened to the soundtrack a lot while building on these, because the soundtrack is amazing, and I like the idea of Helldiver. It's just that I generally don't have that much time to play, but if they have a fan film, I'm going to have a look at that. Nice job predicting that Argo or CNAU crafting ships will... thank you very much. Even though I'm only like 80% right when it comes to the role. But obviously now I'm more eager than ever to build that small CNU forge. Especially if it's not coming out next year. I guess I'll have to make a little preview of that. The only thing that I'm not sure about now is what to do about the Halsey video. I'm going to have to re-concept that at least a bit. And then I was also kinda thinking about doing a video about the Raylan. Because it just had changes to the holoviewer model. But honestly, the changes were not as big as I thought. So the size didn't change at all. It's basically just the shape of these boxes changed a bit, but they still have not explained how it works. So I still don't really know if it's a good idea to continue making that video or if it's just speculation. I mean, it's still quite interesting to see how big this thing is. I put that into my where is it? Yeah, I just put it into my IAE haul yesterday to see how big it is. And it's much bigger than I thought it was. I had it standing before, like in the flight configuration, and I just couldn't fit it. So, not sure if I should make a video about that still. But, just to show you how massive this thing is. It's a lot bigger than I mean, I knew that it was this big, but seeing it, I don't know. Kinda lacks detail now, obviously, but it's exactly as big as I knew it was, but not as big as I felt it was, if that makes sense. If there ever were the next great starship, would you have an idea for CIG? You mean a complete new concept, a complete new ship that has not been hinted at before that I am going to design? Good question. Honestly, I have a series about that. So I started this channel with just a small series that I called The Next Starship, without the great, because it was my first work and it was not great. But I did a series of videos, I think it's 5 or 6 videos, about designing my own spaceship. So basically that answers your idea. I have to say that concept that I came up with, I wouldn't do it like that anymore, obviously. I still haven't finished it. I still want to go back to it and finish it someday. But that was when I got into Star Citizen, and I think it does not really match the manufacturers too well, and I've learned a lot since then. I'm still going to go back there someday, and I'm still going to design my own. But I don't have one in mind right now. That one that I had in mind was an Aegis ship. I had a second episode about something I wanted. Maybe I'll do that one day. I still would like to see a small fighter from Crusader. That is like a... I don't think it's necessarily like... It's not necessary gameplay-wise, a small fighter, even though I don't really have one. Except maybe the Ares is kind of small, but it's not really a light, small fighter. But like a nimble, small, cool, stylish Crusader fighter. And the reason I would want that is because I think it would be cool to have some like patrol ships for Horizon. And I was always thinking about those cloud cars from Cloud City and Star Wars. Something to flesh that out. Some police ships flying around Horizon, and that could then be also sold as a light fighter for players. Gameplay-wise, that would be pretty boring. I think gameplay-wise, I would maybe... I think for me, gameplay-wise right now, the most interesting ship is the cutter. And I would, if I would design a ship now, I would probably try to do something like a cutter. So a lot of different roles that you can at least do like a little bit, but a different manufacturer. Something, I like the idea of having your small home, like basically the trailer with the Keanu Reeves guy in the Clipper. That was what I want in a ship, but I'd want something more homey and more cozy than a Drake. So maybe I would do something like that from Crusader or maybe from Aegis. I think Aegis hadn't had cool ships in a long time. Or, I don't know. There's a lot of different manufacturers that I would like to work with. Galaxy will come out at IAE 29656. Yep, they said that. That is cool. And now I'm thinking, should I still make more Galaxy videos, or is it too late now? I always wanted to do one for base building and crafting. That's the only one really missing. Maybe I should. So kind of like a mix between an Intrepid and an Ares. Yeah, I guess. Oh, I have to mention, that idea was before the Intrepid was released. So the Intrepid now kind of size-wise is that what I wanted. It's just a different role, I guess. But yeah, now that would make even less sense to have something that size. Yeah, but that was before the Intrepid was the thing. Is the command module almost ready? I don't think they said that. They said it's continuing, but they did not even mention if it's ready next year. The Ironclad and the command module, they did not say it's not coming next year, but they also didn't say it is coming. Just, I think your comment on the Galaxy was really good. While it is not the optimal for the role, the value is that you are not locked into a specific role. Yeah, I think that's the whole point for the Galaxy. I think what Execute is missing, that I think Execute owns a lot of ships, and I think there are a few people that just want to buy one big ship and then stick with that and don't swap all the time. And I think there's a place for all of those different ideas. I mean, he said that in the Star Ciitizen Live, basically they want to have, for every role, they want an option from every manufacturer. So technically we need something like a Galaxy from every manufacturer. He didn't say it like that, but he said more options, more options, more options. Realistically, what is taking so long with the command module? I found it interesting that they brought it up during the request to separate docking and hangar requests. Can't answer that, but honestly, I think it is kind of tricky to have basically two ships, and then one ship takes control of the whole other ship. So the flying, also probably opening the doors and everything. I assume that it is a bit tricky. Honestly, not 2 years tricky, but... Question, would you and Grim team up for a Anvil Corvette Perseus competitor design from Anvil? That's a good idea, actually. Sure, why not? I mean, I think before that happens, Grim and I will team up to build a Kraken interior. That's something that we have really planned for early next year. But I don't think that will take us more than a week. And then we can do whatever. Yeah, but the big Anvil capital ship is something that a lot of people are interested in, including me. Will the... I think... sorry. I think the body of the Caterpillar Ironclad can't move on their own at all. That is true for the Ironclad, but generally for a command module, just gameplay-wise, it's still two ships. Like, even if the Ironclad can't fly itself, once they separate, they are two different ships with different inventories and different power managements, and yeah, I'm not saying that it can fly by its own, but it still takes control, not just flying-wise, but also it takes control of the inventory and the power, and all that stuff gets combined and entangled, and I guess that is something that is tricky to do. But yeah, the body cannot fly on its own, that's true. With the Ironclad, what happens if you have no one in the command bridge to take over flying while you are flying? Does that mean you can only detach while stationary? So first of all, if you have no one in the command bridge to take over, you can't take over flying you can't fly the ship from the command bridge in the Ironclad. Still, the question remains, if you fly the Ironclad and you are speeding and you detach, will the body of the Ironclad maintain its velocity? That is an interesting question. I mean, maybe you have to stop to undock, but it would be quite cool. And it would be also quite cool if you then shoot your Ironclad onto its destination course and it flies for however long in a straight line. And in the meantime, you get somewhere else with the command module, do some other errands, then get back to the body, still flying through space, and redock and then park it. I don't think that's going to happen. Ironclad bombs. Yeah, a bombing Ironclad version is also pretty obvious idea that they would probably do at some point. If you undock an Archimedes from the constellation while moving, it will stand still in space. Not sure if you can compare that. I mean, it doesn't make sense. If that's your point, yeah, it does not make sense, but... I mean, we don't know. The full answer is we don't know how the command module is going to happen. If they have not finished it, how are we supposed to know? But I think that you have to stop is the most likely answer. Now, I honestly thought that we are just going to have a chat for like half an hour about what they said, and then we can finish or continue building on the Ironclad. But I'm not going to do that today. We've already been here for 4 hours or something, including the ISC live, of course. Maybe I'll just get the last questions in, last 20 minutes or something. And then we are calling it a day. I'm not going to start something completely new on the Ironclad here. You're confused about this new cargo grid? Because some people pointed out in chat, just what I said, is that these weird 96 SEU that are missing, or too many here, could just be in the secure storage. But there would be a lot of cargo in there. 96 SEU. I mean, we can have a look if we can fit 96 SEU into that thing. Didn't I have? No, I don't. Storage. Okay, no, I have that in a different scene. So the assets, rates, 1 SEU. Oh, I'm proud of something. I made a shader for these boxes so that whenever I do a new instance, so it's an instance, not a copy, which is important for managing resources. If I do an instance of this box, it will change color. And so every single one will have a different color. Not completely random. I have I only picked a handful of muted colors. Maybe I'll add some more because I felt that it's still not varied enough. But it will always be a bit different. That's good. So that's 12 SEU. I think that's realistic for one of these cells. So we have 60 SEU in here. Maybe because this one is bigger, 64. And maybe there's a grid here too. So in the concept there were only doors or separations on 5 of these, and this one was open. Maybe they are here too, and then it's 12 times 6, and then it's 72. Still missing a few. Let's do the other way around. 96 divided by 6. It would need 16 boxes in all of these. So I don't think it would fit a third row. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Maybe it's not this one. Maybe they added some smaller cargo plates back here. Or maybe in the mule area. I don't know. Maybe there's the last 96 SEU or something. But for sure these numbers are a bit uneven. Might be side boxes by the door, or in the middle, or in the middle? You mean in the middle of the walkway here? That would be annoying. I wonder if you can make it auto-snap to a grid as well, if I remember seeing... Oh yeah, sure, I can make it snap to a grid. Just... I deactivated that here because... I mean... I can make it snap to any kind of grid that I define here. I don't know where I control that, but I think that's by meters. And that doesn't make sense because it's 1.25 meters, so I would have to... I can change the grid somewhere. I could also make it snap to my cargo grid, but I don't have one in here, so I could make it snap, and usually I don't move them by hand at all. Usually I use arrays for that. That's how you're supposed to do it. But unfortunately, if you use arrays, they have the same ID. And if they have the same ID, the texture or the color is the same. But the new Blender 5 has the array modifier completely changed, so maybe I have to figure, maybe that works better now. Those cells are collecting for collecting copions. I hope so. Was there a silhouette? No, they didn't show any. Unfortunately, and they also specifically said that they don't have made one because they are still missing 3 from the last one. But they explained what the last 3 missing ones were. Star Citizen may be a horribly handled project, or insert critical comment here, but man, can't I stop thinking about it. Yeah, welcome to mine and everyone else's here live. They said something of the Ironclad in the Star Ciitizen Lives. They said that the Ironclad is getting a bigger cargo grid. So the Ironclad, the base one, increased from 1500 something SCU to 2204, and the Assault increased to 1440 SCU. And that's all they said about the Ironclad, just that it's in the works and it was not confirmed for next year. It was something they danced around, specifically when it came to the command modules. They didn't really answer it. It could come out next year, it could not. They didn't specify. I think the only thing about the Ironclad they talked about is more boxes. They increased the positions of both Ironclads, right? Does anyone know by how much? What do you mean by positions? I assume you mean the SCU grids. So what we figured out earlier is that it probably means one more row, like from bottom to top. But it doesn't completely work out. There's still a few boxes missing. So we are just trying to figure out if they mean there's also a small cargo grid here in the front, in the secure storage, or maybe behind by the mules, but the only thing they said is that the number is 2204, which does not really work out with the grid. When they talked about the Forge, did anyone think it was odd that such a large ship was soloable? That picture looks dang near identical to the Pioneer concept art. No. The Forge is tiny. The Forge is... I said that back with the silhouettes. It's tiny. It's a one-man ship. They said small to maybe medium. It's a very small ship. That's why... I mean, I have that image somewhere here. Oh, I don't. I just have this one. But there was a person standing next to it, and it's not much higher than a person. So it's a very small ship. The old Ironclad had 1500, so 48 times 32. The new one has so 68 times 32 plus 28. Something like that. Dang, I really hope it releases. Yeah, me too. But honestly, with the Galaxy coming next year, maybe they push the Ironclad back. But it looked so far along. Maybe we'll have both. Do you think there is a chance they changed the dimensions of the Ironclad? We talked about that earlier. I don't know. But they wouldn't have to. The only thing they would have to change to fit that cargo boxes is make the roof a tiny bit higher. Like just a tiny bit. So even before I said that 3 boxes would almost fit. So it's a tiny change in height. It would not have to change the whole metrics of your ships. It could change, they don't have to. The assault goes from 36 times 32 SCU to 45 times. Is that true? The assault has 1440. So 360. Yeah, it also doesn't work out with 32 SCU crates. That's a bit weird. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe they're counting some other areas now. Can't wait for it to stack 5 SCU high, completely ruining most of the cargo. Okay. Don't think 5 will fit. They can't make it longer since it's currently 120 and the max for the hangar is 128. I mean, you kind of made that point yourself. You can make it 8 meters longer. And 8 meters is, I don't know, 5 more boxes? But again, I don't think they would have to. Ah, okay. 5 SCU higher, so it's a layer of 4 SCU crates. We'll see if that works. In the... I mean, the roof was always... I never talked about that, but the fact that the roof retracts and then basically folds into itself, I don't know, it must be pretty thick. And now in the model there is not much space for it. You can see it here, it's just like, yeah, less than maybe half a meter or something. That's not a very sturdy roof. I'm not sure how they're going to tackle that. I could see that it has a bit of a, like a bit of a bump here on the top. Maybe it gets a bit fatter. Them adding cargo almost certainly means they found more space. They wouldn't make it longer to add space on an already very capable hauler. We talked about that earlier. I think the reason why they made it more is because they wanted it to be a touch higher. And my theory is that they wanted to fit the vulture in. I said earlier that the vulture is too high, and fitting the vulture in here would make so much sense for so many people. So I guess they made it a touch higher so that the vulture can fit. That means more boxes. Yeah. I don't know that. That's just a guess. Right. That was not really what I wanted to come out of the ship talk, but at the same time there was a lot of stuff in there that is really interesting to me and to you too, I assume. I wish we've gotten that silhouette still, but well, that list of manufacturers is also interesting. But I guess that means it's time now to end this. Any last questions? That's your last chance. But I guess we covered everything. a bit annoying because now I have to update that video that I just put out like a week ago. But honestly, I expected a lot more Ironclad information at IAE. That's why I was so eager to get that video out. To have like the old status cemented into a video, and now I can make updates, but I didn't expect the SCU to change. They said they moved the ladder, which opened up some space because there was a gap left. Oh, we talked about that. I said earlier to Grim and stuff, Grim and Execute, that the ladder already was kind of far in the front. So maybe... Oh, no, actually, I think I moved the ladder to the front in this model because it was in the way of the boxes. I think it was it was a little further. Actually, let's check the concept image. I should not just say that. I should have... No, actually. Let me bring that on screen. Image viewer. There, as you can see, it is right in the corner. So it's not in the way of any boxes. But maybe that means that there are now boxes in that corner. Or like there's cargo grid extending into the corner there. And that's then not for 32 SCU boxes, but smaller ones. That's the only thing I could see that would explain that comment. It is a weird place to stack boxes, but at the same time it's wasted space that we always get angry about, so why not extend the cargo grid a little there? That suggests it's not the height but the width that changed. I don't think the width changes. Maybe like a tiny bit to make the walkway a bit better, but not for more crates or anything. I think the height is the most realistic one. I expected more about the Galaxy, but they were clearly saving it for the comical bit at the end. And also with the Galaxy coming now, they don't have to talk about it anymore. Maybe we'll get a teaser throughout the year, but knowing that it's coming next year is already info enough. I mean, of course I wanted more, but they talked 2 hours. I was thinking about the change, and I'm betting it's because a vehicle or like a crafting module that didn't fit. They wanted to make fit. Yeah, most reasonable for me is the vulture. That makes so much sense. What about that red support? Could that have removed it? Making the space more accessible? I don't think so. It's not a lot of space. The ramp starts in between those red things. So even if you remove them, you could not use that space here. So, and also, I mean, if you look at the concept art, I think it's adding a lot to the aesthetic of the ship because it also extends on the outside. Oh, it's missing. It's supposed to extend on the outside of the ship here. I don't think this is going away. When will Ironclad release? We don't know. They didn't say. They didn't say anything about the release date, unfortunately. Still glad that the CNOU will get a ship in between the Nomad and the Pioneer. Me too. And what do you think, which one is more sensible to buy, Ironclad or Assault? I don't think that has anything to do with sensible. That comes down to what you like to do. I would personally get the cargo one, just because I don't see myself driving around 4 tanks. And the repair area is very interesting, but we don't know enough about that. If that could repair small ships, and my small ship of choice would still fit into the Assault, then I would probably pick that. But if it's just for repairing tanks and ground vehicles, I just wouldn't care personally. So I think it's really up to you what you want to do with the ship. I think I'm almost more excited about the Forge than anything. I'm really excited for that too. I'm going to mock that up. I think they need to make the command module work before they talked about that they have to finish the command module, and they have said that it's not finished, but they have not said if it's going to be finished next year or... Yeah. Oh, that's a good point from Azul Sage. Everything they say in those are subject to change. Just because they say the Galaxy is going to be IAE next year does not mean it's 100% guaranteed. That is completely true. That said, out of everything they said today, I think the Galaxy is the one that they sounded the most certain about. I don't think... And from how they learned from the past, I think they would drop that information that clearly if they weren't sure they can deliver. And then also we have seen that they managed to get the Perseus 1 year after the Polaris. So I guess they have a very good understanding of how much work it will be. And then also I assume that the Galaxy had some work in the background already. So I guess they can be pretty certain that they can deliver that next year. But yeah, still there can still be something coming up that breaks it, and yeah, then it's never guaranteed until it's there. Sneak peeks and teasers for the Ironclad show great progress. It does, but that's just visual progress. That I also said that it looks pretty finished, but yeah, until the gameplay stuff like the command module works, that doesn't mean anything. And I mean that. I know it's not the same, but I just realized when I made this video, the second floor, everything you saw on the second floor in my last video, the engineering section, or the corridors, or the front, the secure storage, the locker room, I built all of that in half a day. Everything you saw, I built in half a day, but it took so long to build all these assets, and now making all of that work in the interactive scene and stuff, that will take another long time. Just sticking the parts together is never what takes the most amount of time, and it also doesn't mean that it's finished. Now making all the lights work and the switches work, just because the teasers looked far along, that does not mean that a big ship like that is close to release. Yeah. Excited for the ship or the gameplay for the Forge? I'm excited for both. I'm excited to know how it looks, because CNOU has a very new design language. And also gameplay wise, I don't know, it sounded like a fun mix of options. Lots of talk about the Galaxy before, by the way, but how does one move the modules in between refitting? Can you claim them as ships? Can someone who has a tally tell us how that works currently? Because modularity is already in game, but I've never tried or seen it. I don't know how it works really. Do you claim that as... Do you do that from your terminal, or how does it work? If you do 32 by 11 by 3, and then 32 by 1 by 2, that gives 2 less boxes at the front and back. So you have one row that is a bit under the catwalks. Oh, that's an interesting configuration. I'm going to try that later. Okay, modules are required via the vehicle menu like any other component. You change them like you change weapons or ship components. Retaliate and as Apollo should be modular. So you have to put your ship into storage, and then you hit your Mobi glass, change the module, and then you can put it back onto your ship hangar. That's how it works. I tried it with the Apollo and it is just a normal thing like a gun or a paint. You do not lose it, and when you claim it, then it comes back with that module you last used. Okay. So for those who can, those modules, if you detach them through the Mobi, do they appear in the cargo elevator as goods you can transport? I'm pretty sure not. I think they are completely virtual. I remember there was talk about like having these modules detachable and moving them around, but I think that was never officially mentioned. I think it was just people wanting to do that, but I don't think yet you can spawn these modules without putting them into the ships. So just like paints, you would have them in your inventory, but you can't spawn a paint bucket on the cargo elevator. Honestly, it was planned for that to be different. It was planned that you have to go to a shop like Cousin Crow, Horizon or something like that, and exchange it there. And there was then a timer would be associated with that. But that was planned. We've never seen that. And also, even then, it would not be physicalized. It would still be you go to a terminal and then they swap it out, and then you have your new ship. There's no taking the module out by yourself and use it for something else. So basically your modules may forever be stuck to your home location. Again, I think in the future that will be different, but right now it's just like paints. Have we heard any word on Caterpillar modularity? Nope. They didn't talk about that at all. Alrighty, good one. I leave the stream running for 5 more minutes without me, so you can finish your chats. But I think we talked about everything they threw at us. And now I'm going to think about what to do next. I'm not sure if I should still do that Rayland video or if there's not enough information about it. There's no new silhouettes to do. I don't know. I have plenty of options. I'm not sure where to go next. But obviously, I will still obviously do the Ironclad, and I will do more streams in the next weeks. With I have already continued with the interior. I have built some new. I built a new system for having interesting and detailed ceilings, because so far the ceilings were only flat surfaces. But I want to finish the Ironclad at least by the end of the year now, so I can start something new. Alrighty, cool. Then thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, probably I'll do something next week about the Ironclad. Thanks for joining. See you in the verse. Nice info drop. I don't know how to enter stream. See you around. Thank you for joining me. Bye bye.